Welcome to the Fright Lab. I'm Lucas Yoakum. With me tonight, as always, is the one and only Joseph Wren, and we are having an immediate reaction to a really fun movie we just watched. A little nasty bit of sci-fi horror, Jitters.
Good luck. You'll need it. There's fun, there's cash, there's prizes.
Or play Smash TV, apparently.
Good evening, all of you gruesome people. We have been fans. We are fans. The work of Daniel Jordan will always get me to tune in. How do you feel about this new movie?
You know, before we say anything else, before we kind of dive into the flesh of this film, I don't often get to watch a horror movie where I just kind of strap in and have fun. So I've got to say this right up front. If you like kind of sci-fi horror and you like it mean and you like it a little weird, watch Jitters. It is a great time. But there's more to this movie, I think, and we've been kind of talking about it. We just finished watching it like 15 minutes ago, something like that. And as a result, we've got some ideas, and it's a very raw reaction. But before we go any further, roll that beautiful Jitters footage.
Sam, you've seen your fair share of bad things. What's going on?
It's going to be the next big thing. It's called Jitters.
Yellow. Jitters. So it's a horror game. When did you last see him?
He's standing next to you right now.
This beast is real.
Jitters. What is Jitters? So the movie follows a detective and his partner as they are trying to unravel a highly unusual, suspicious death. Calling it a murder outright is perhaps incorrect, but there's something very wrong about this whole ordeal. This movie, directed by Mark Zammit and written by George Wilcox, is very, very timely. And, you know, there's always a risk when you're making timely horror. I mean, timely anything creative, ultimately. That a thing can very quickly go from being a very sharp and poignant observation of the time to a thing that you watch in like 5 years and you go, well, you know, that didn't age well. Or it's just very indicative of a time period and therefore kind of loses its universal appeal. Jitters is very much in the vein of a kind of technological horror that I'm not sure could exist before the 1980s. And maybe it did, and better educated horror commenters can tell me about it online. You can always reach us at thefrightlabpodcast@gmail.com to tell me how I'm wrong about this. But there's been this running theme. Whenever there's a new development, a new wrinkle in this idea of how technology becomes immersive, we're always afraid of it. I'll point immediately to two films. One that we've covered, one that we haven't, and I don't know that we're ever going to cover the second one. The first one is, of course, Videodrome. This is very much in the vein of Videodrome. It's sufficiently less aroused, we'll say, but it is kind of in the same vein. On top of that, it also reminds me of a little 1990s Stephen King adjacent gem. Some of us remember, and some of us are going to groan when they hear it, The Lawnmower Man. So Jitters follows these two detectives as they're digging into this murder most foul? ? And they discover that there's a new technology on the block, and this new technology is much, much more dangerous than we've ever realized. Now, we were contacted about this film. We were offered a screener, so we got this for free. So if you are worried that we are being swayed because we were offered a free movie, you know up front that could be one of our biases. But this movie, of course, stars the one and only Daniel Jordan. We talked to Daniel way back at the beginning of this podcast when we covered weird little dark medieval horror fantasy called Witch.
You are sinners, you must all die.
This movie also stars Fabrizio Santino, who I believe was also in Witch. Can you double check his IMDb for me, please?
He was indeed.
Okay, so Fabrizio Santini, he's been in a lot of things that you've seen. If you follow shows like The EastEnders, he's been in that. He was in a Marvel flick, as memory serves. I can't remember which one it was. I want to say it was one of the Captain America movies, maybe? So he plays this kind of troubled detective who, shall we say, is going through some stuff. And he plays this very captivating character. But as much as I liked his role, and if we get a chance to talk to him, I'll happily sit down and chat with him because I think he's a fascinating actor. He has good gruff actor face. Daniel Jordan steals the show because he plays, well, he does the controlled evil of a Judge Hopkins in Witch very, very well. But he does unhinged computer monster even better somehow. It is tempting whenever you see a movie that in its promo material features an evil clown. And that's kind of what Jitters is, sort of. I'm sure that Joe could dig up a clip from our interview with it, where at the very end of our interview with Daniel Jordan, he says he plays an evil clown.
There's a film coming out called Jitters, and it's a very deep thriller, psychological thriller. Elements of strangers in it, strangest things in it, and I play a psychopathic clown who likes to play games with people. It's a fantastic script, actually.
I'll be right back. I'm going to London right now.
I am always excited to hear what people have coming down the pipe. So you're thinking there may actually be more spooky roles finally getting ready to happen.
Yeah, well, this is the thing. I do tend to get cast in psychopathic or spooky roles. Never as a nice, harmless guy, which is what I am, but always as a total evil bastard.
You have the Christopher Lee problem. Couldn't be a bigger gentleman,
Absolutely.
But always cast as the giant monster.
Yeah, which I like, which I enjoy. I prefer playing that. I think I have great difficulty playing normal people, just your normal average citizen.
Anytime someone is painted up like a clown and given an evil role, it's going to evoke one of two things. Perhaps most famously, the Joker, and specifically Heath Ledger's portrayal of the Joker. Or it's going to evoke killer clowns from outer space.
Don't forget Pennywise, both iterations.
That's fine. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm just more bummed out that I will never get out of the shadow of killer clowns. That's all it is. I'm not saying you guys should feel bad for me, but some sympathy would be nice once in a while. Anyway, so I am hogging the mic as I am often wont to do. Joe, what was your initial reaction to Jitters?
All the key words are present. Yes, there are new things to be afraid of, and this movie jumps right into them. AI is one of the first things mentioned, and that is one of the major themes of the evil in this film. There are tropes aplenty, but it works because when it puts a trope in front of you, it sets it up. You know where it's going to end until it doesn't end that way. I really enjoyed how the film built and set my expectations just to tear them down a little bit. There's a theme of 7 in this film. The character portrayed by Daniel Jordan, Jitters, is clearly written as if it was designed by that machine learning, because it references other horror characters, not just clowns. And it's very satisfying to see your characters go through this psychological horror that is ultimately horrifying, because the bad guy is the guy that sets it all in motion, as it were.
Well, you bring up this idea of the movie being sort of referential of other horrors in the way that dealing with a large language model ends up being referential of everything else on the internet, to good or bad effect, more often, in my opinion, bad. I will not apologize. My biases show there. Those who've been listening to Discography Discussion, which, hey, did you know Discography Discussion is back and that I'm the co-host now? What a weird world we inhabit. We talked about Author and Punisher in that episode, and we discussed a little bit of how AI has come to permeate everything, and we're all kind of on some level craving something that is, well, not AI. And I feel like this movie, it could be very easy to read this movie as AI bad. That's a very simple and pedestrian message you could put with damn near any movie involving technology right now, right? Instead, one of the things this movie does really, really well is it plays, in my opinion, with kind of the Frankenstein formula, right? That a creation has broke its bounds, it has broke containment, and because there's always the thumbprint or the breath of the creator upon the created, that a damaged mind or a damaged person, someone's internal demons, someone's inner darkness leaks out into the world, and this time, instead of it somehow gains its own ghost in the machine, it's just the machine, and it tells you that much. So I like this idea, though, of re-examining or taking a different look at these very topical, poignant issues. Because, going back to what we were saying about The Lawnmower Man, it is not a movie that's aged well. Visually, it looks pretty, it doesn't look great now. I mean, some of that's just computer graphics of the time. Some of that is, I want to say it was Jeff Fahey who played the main character in Lawnmower Man. My memory is either extremely good or it's beginning to fail. I'm not exactly sure. Joe's fact checking me as we speak. Jeff Fahey plays Job Smith in that film. His portrayal of someone who has some mental handicaps is, it's a little tone deaf now, but it was at the time dealing with something that was weirdly topical: the initial presence of virtual reality. Joe, when you were younger, so this is the early 90s, did you ever play with an actual VR, like at an arcade?
Once or twice. VR at the time was very much giant apparatus that you stand in with helmet on, effectively the same as it is today. You have the screens directly in front of your eyes for immersion, and you're holding some type of gun weapon, which is just a trigger because there's no way that it could aim. And what I remember being a 1v1 Quake-style deathmatch with very blocky graphics, the concept was interesting because it was pushing what the expectations were of a video game. In my adult life, looking back, I would be very critical of that, as I have been with VR anything, because we're not changing the games. We're changing how you interface with the games, and for the most part, it's not better, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, VR is a thing that for whatever reason made a comeback with the Oculus Rift and some other programs. And I like the idea of VR, right? Like, I think it's a neat concept. It's either done kind of prematurely, the way it was in the 1990s, where you wore the 19-pound headset and you had a weird trigger in your hand. It was known to cause vertigo or nausea in people in like a small percentage. And if you want to have fun, you can guess which members of the Fright Lab are people who suffer that sort of vertigo and nausea. It was a thing that was a little premature. And then the Oculus thing happened, and it was all Mark Zuckerberg, if you follow me. So, so VR at the time was kind of a technical or a kind of a technological bugbear that we were all sort of on and sort of wondering where it was going to go. I mean, it even showed up, as Joe will almost certainly remember, in the music video for Aerosmith's Amazing. And, the less we talk about that, the better, I guess. It is one of those subjects that came and went. Well, now the big digital bugbear is AI. And I think the word gets thrown around a lot without really knowing what it means or what it could. And I will give the production team for this, I will give especially the writer a lot of credit for actually having a kind of reasonable working understanding of what LLMs do and how they actually interact. Because we've all seen it, right? You're watching a TV show or you're watching a horror movie where they talk about the dark web. And it's not near some nefarious stuff can happen when you get involved with certain dark web services, but it's not what you think it is, right? It's always someone who's clearly never actually screwed about in a Tor browser and, doesn't actually know what's happening. Well, this actually does play a little bit with what AI actually is, and then goes wholly into the fantastical. And that's fine. I don't want my horror movies to be necessarily 100% normal or to the facts. I think truly factual horror is just a documentary. And this movie is definitely not that. One thing I will say about this movie that I really, really enjoyed is that it is visually really striking. It looks very gritty. It has, again, it kind of reminds me a little bit of Seven, if Seven were filmed in like 2023. It is also visually really distinct. It feels very modern, but it doesn't feel so modern that like next year it's going to seem dated or passé. There's not a lot of, what am I looking for here? There's not a lot of trends that are happening in this film that immediately make it feel silly and of another era. This movie really took me by surprise. I really enjoyed it. And there is something that I was kind of joking about at the top of the episode. It is very rare that I get to watch a movie and just go, oh shit, that was great. We were, in a previous episode, we were talking to Dusty Gannon about the phenomenon of being able to do a thing and just enjoy it. And horror movies so often are so metaphorically loaded that you can't help but start critically analyzing it. And this movie is good for that. I feel like this is a very smart movie. I think it was very well written. But this is not a movie that immediately forces you to start contemplating all of your greater life decisions, It may make you want to put your phone on airplane mode once in a while. I recommend that, by the way. Like, I don't know if you guys have all heard of this, but there is this thing outside called grass, and you can touch it sometimes. It's kind of cool. Y'all should try it sometime. This movie is also, it's kind of neat in that it is taking this kind of working knowledge of a technology, and instead of kind of, oh, I don't know, is it good? Is it bad? It is saying immediately like, yeah, here's a problem. There is this very Frankenstein's monster breaking containment, getting out into the world when it wasn't ever meant to, that I really enjoy. Again, tropes aplenty, but it's tropes aplenty that are really, really, I don't want to say fun, because there are some genuinely gnarly moments in this movie. I won't mention a particular character and what he does to himself. It's ew. Ew. It even made me a little, ugh. I don't get skeeved out very easily, but there's a couple of places where this skeeved me out pretty hard. But, so, Joe, let's go ahead and ask the question. Should you watch Jitters?
100%. If you are a fan of psychological horror, thrillers, etc., you need to be watching this movie. Keywords aside, we know that the new scary is all things LLM. It's not intelligent. Let's leave that argument right here. But what does it do? What is it trying to do? It's trying to predict the words that you want to hear, the words that you want to see, because it's like every sales or marketing campaign you've ever seen. What is it trying to do? It's trying to convince you or manipulate you into spending money. And this film is trying to show you when you try to hack the human psyche, if you can get past the front door, there's dangers aplenty. It's not going to make you afraid to turn on the TV at night, but it is going to at least make you think about how you want to interact with something that is clearly artificial.
Yeah, very few horror movies make me reconsider just installing a couple of good ad blockers. But there is actually something there, right? Like there is a certain thing of how much does the internet know about you? And when I say the internet, yes, I am using that in kind of scare quotes, but how much data is just leaking out of you by you merely existing online? I mean, we've all had it happen to us, right? You're thinking to yourself, man, I really need to go to IKEA. I need to buy a new couch or something because this one's not working out for me so much. And you casually mention to someone in passing once, you say, I need to make it down to IKEA this weekend. And what do you end up with? You end up with 13 ads on every website you visit, no matter what, for IKEA. This happened to me actually recently. I was needing to stop at a grocery store, and the grocery store I normally shop at was, well, let's just say I couldn't get into it for reasons that involved police sirens. So I said, oh, fuck. Well, Walmart's right there, I guess. I hadn't shopped in a Walmart in probably 15 years. I just don't like doing business there. I don't feel great about shopping there for a lot of reasons. But anyway, I went in there, I bought like $25 worth of stuff, and I went home. It took me 3 months to get Walmart ads out of my YouTube, out of my different streaming services. I couldn't get away from Walmart ads. It's only now gone, and I suspect that recording this episode is going to curse me to more Walmart ads. My point being that I think a movie like this is so timely, and I think just kind of given the shape of the world for the last couple of years, it's not a movie that's going to seem dated in 5 years. And if it does, it is going to be like, hey, do you remember when banner ads really sucked? Yeah, let's not go back to that. You should go check this out. Jitters, directed by Mark Zammit, starring the one and only Daniel Jordan. I can't recommend this movie enough. If you're looking for something fun, this is it. It is currently streaming, well, everywhere. It was released to the US, I believe, on the 13th of February, 2026. It is out now. You can get it for next to nothing. Let's get real. The one good thing about all of these streaming platforms is you can get a lot of good movies for next to nothing.
Slight correction on the release date. This film releases on UK Digital March 16th of 2026 and on US Digital March 17th, 2026.
So, go watch Jitters and tune in. We're gonna see if we can't pin down one Mr. Daniel Jordan for another conversation, because it's been a hot minute, and he's a friend of the show, and we'd like to hear from him again. So, with that, my dear audience, friends, siblings, The Fright Lab is written and researched by me, Lucas Yoakum. It is beaten into wholly listenable shape by the one and only Joseph Wren. If you want to find us online, just look for The Fright Lab. We're available on all of your favorite social media platforms, if you have any social media platforms left at this point, especially after this episode. We're also available on Letterboxd. We are on YouTube. We appreciate each and every one of you, and we will talk to you all again very soon.
That's Fright Lab for you.